I cannot believe that it has been almost 4 years since my husband and I moved to Florida. So today I figured why not give a 4-year update on what it's like living in Florida. If you're new here, and this is the first time you ever watched my videos, my name is Rachel. I moved here with my husband almost 4 years ago. The reason for the move was we were so sick of the cold and shoveling snow every winter. Honestly, the winter just felt like forever. We came from Rhode Island and my husband's from there. I've been living there for about 5 years, but I'm originally from Connecticut. We both grew up with it our whole lives, and my husband could put up with it a little bit more than I could. An ultimate goal for me ever since I was a kid was I always just wanted to live somewhere tropical and warm. That last winter, we had just bought an investment property together and we were excited, but I was just in the worst mood all the time. And my husband was like, "What is going on with you?" And I was like, seasonal depression. I'm just over it. This isn't even making me excited. And so he had said, "Why don't we just move to somewhere warm then?" And I said, "Yes, please, that's what I want." Thought it wasn't really possible given the fact that his job is there, and also I had just built a real estate business there and it takes a long time to do that. So it was finally successful, and starting over is scary. But he had said, "Why don't we move south?" And I was like, "Yes, please." I didn't know that was an option. And he's like, "Yeah, I mean, my company has offices all over the United States." So then we started looking into where it would work for our needs, and it came down to San Diego, which he didn't want to do San Diego. He was a Marine. He had lived in San Diego before, didn't want to go back. And then Virginia was just like still too cold. And then it was Florida. So Florida would have been either Jacksonville, Orlando, or Patrick Space Force Base, which like technically, I'll just say Cocoa Beach. I didn't want to live in a big city, so that kind of crossed out the Orlando and Jacksonville's. And then we were like, "What's this Cocoa Beach area?" And we were like, "Oh, this is so nice. It's like a small town, a small surf town on the ocean," which we were used to up in Newport, Rhode Island. And it looked really nice. This was February. He was like, "You know what, like this is just, they're not gonna pay me as much in Florida. We could go to Virginia, I can make good money, but not there." So I was like, "Oh, I don't wanna move to Virginia." It just got forgotten about until May, when my husband and I both got COVID for the first time, and we're both home. He had gotten an email that was saying, "By the way, there was a job that was in Cocoa Beach is still open." And I said, "Why don't you just email them and ask them what the salary is for that job?" So I sent an email to HR and they said, "Here's the range." And the starting range was more than he was making up in Rhode Island. So I was like, "Let's just apply. Let's just see." So he applies that day, and he gets a call instantly. They've been looking for someone in that specialty that he works in forever. And he had his interview and they were like, "Yes, you're hired. We'll give you whatever you want." His time and all of that. So then I was like, "Oh, we're getting summer in Newport. It's so nice now. Finally nice. I don't know if I want to move." But I was like, "Let's go check it out." So we get everything ready. Dog sitter. He had that interview on Wednesday. We were flying out on that Friday. And so he came down here and instantly fell in love. It's this beautiful small town surfer vibe area, and we just absolutely fell in love. And then we ended up putting an offer on a house that day. Not that day. I think Sunday we did. So we looked at a few houses and then we put an offer, and that was within a month we were moving down here. It all happened so fast, and we didn't know anyone here. We had never known about the Space Coast. The only place I've ever been in Florida were Miami, and I had no idea. I remember when I got down to Miami for the first time, you get in the Uber and they're speaking Spanish. Luckily, I know Spanish, so it's fine, but totally different from Space Coast. That's the cool thing about Florida, is that every area is very different. You could just drive 2 hours and be in a totally different area, totally different color of ocean, which is really cool. It's been love ever since. Now, we've almost been here almost 4 years. I can't believe it's been 4 years. So I wanted to tell you my experience moving here, what I love about it, what I don't love about it. Hopefully that'll help you if you're thinking about moving to Florida. I grew my real estate business here. Thank God. It's been luckily pretty easy thanks to this channel, this outlet that I have to meet people just like me moving to the area. So if you're moving to Florida, whether it's my area in the Space Coast or anywhere in Florida that mattered, in the Space Coast, I can help you. And if it's not Space Coast, then I have amazing referral partners all over Florida that I truly vetted and have sent other clients clients too, that I'm super thorough with my vetting and making sure that they're gonna do a good job. So if you need a referral for an awesome agent in another location, reach out, text me, call me. I'm happy to talk to you. Even if you want to just ask a couple questions, my information is right here and in the description below. Some people have actually came to me and said they had no idea the Space Coast existed and then ended up retiring here. If you have interest in that, give me a call, because we had no idea about the Space Coast. The reason why it's called the Space Coast is because they launched the rockets, had no idea this is where the rockets were launched for NASA. So it's really cool, and it's a more affordable area than a lot of other coastal towns and cities in Florida. Way more affordable than South Florida, way more affordable than Tampa, some parts of Orlando as well. Let's get into the move. So my husband and I, like I said, we moved here pretty fast, didn't know anyone. We bought a house. I'm a real estate agent. So originally I said, let's rent. Let's make sure we like this area. And then I came down here and I said, I know I'll like this area. We wanted to buy because we have the dogs and I like to make places my own. I like to paint. Don't want to give anyone rent. I want to build my equity in a home. So instantly we bought the house, and we actually bought another house since then, and that one's an investment property now. We bought the small house at least just to see if we like it. We don't want to spend too much if we didn't like it here. And then we ended up getting the pool home. I'm looking at my beautiful pool right now. I'm probably going to go in after this. Life is just really great right now. I just wanted to someone pinch me because it feels like a dream. Don't pinch me. Actually, I don't want to wake up if it is. Life is just so good. Making the move. So obviously we bought the house right away. And then we just decided to sell all our furniture. We only took a U-Haul trailer down. My husband drove it down, and that was fun. The 24-hour drive. I did get him in a little bit of predicament once where there was no turnaround in the dead end street. So that was fun. So just be careful of that. Nonetheless, we sold all our furniture because we were coming from a 1900s colonial where I wanted to do more a different feel to this house, to the beach house. One thing to note, if you get rid of your furniture and just go new, furniture is way more expensive nowadays because of inflation than when I had originally bought the furniture for that house, but it wouldn't have fit in our last house anyways. So it was fine. It was fun to go furniture shopping and start over, have people deliver it and bring it in and so forth. So yeah, we sold everything. We did the trailer, drove down here, moved into the new house, and all the neighbors were so nice. The ones over here are super nice too, but we are more closer to age to the neighbors in the last one, and we would hang out and everything, so that was fun. But yeah, everyone's super nice, welcoming. I was definitely nervous about moving somewhere like here where I'm from the Northeast, where they're gonna be mean, where they're not going to like outsiders, because when you're on the internet, all these people saying, go home, don't move to Florida, don't New York my Florida, but I'm a Yankee, so are they gonna hate me? Never in my life since living here have I ever felt like someone wasn't nice to me when they met me or when they found out that I wasn't from here, because honestly, most people in Florida are not from here, whether they moved here 20 years ago or they moved here yesterday. So don't get nervous about that. Everyone's super nice. And then trying to get to know people. So when we first moved here, obviously we had such a great friends up in Rhode Island. We still do. They come visit. We go back and visit them and our family. Getting to know people. I was just starting over in real estate again. Interest rates had just jumped up, and so that was a really hard transition to just generate business again. And I was trying to meet people. So I joined actually a few Facebook groups. There's women in their 20s and 30s Facebook group, kayaking Facebook group. We joined that one. We got kayaked. We made a few great friends I'm still friends with today. And then obviously my office that I was at when I first moved here and the office I'm at now, I've made such great friends from there, and we hang out all the time, which I love. So it's pretty easy to make friends, whether it's at work or to go to these community events or community Facebook groups. If you move here and you're joining an HOA, a lot of them have Facebook groups where they have meetups and women's walking clubs and stuff like that. So it's cool. Honestly, just our first year was life-changing. Having a winter that wasn't freezing cold, there was no snow. It was the best year, I think, ever. It was such a great year, and we went to Disney all the time, and Universal family visited a ton, and it was a really cool first year here. And then by the end of the year, I finally was getting a good momentum with my business again. Now, at this point, just this past year, I helped 40 families move to the Space Coast. Towards the end of the first year, I finally got that momentum going, which was really great. If you're a real estate agent watching this, it's definitely possible, but starting any business, it takes time and effort and money and all of that. So the first year was absolutely amazing. We loved it. We only lived 10 minutes from the beach. That was one reason why we chose our last house, and our current house is very close to that house. So we're only 10 minutes away from Cocoa Beach in Cape Canaveral, which is really cool. The first year we went all the time. Now, not so much because we have the pool and we're really busy with work. My family comes to visit, or sometimes we'll go for an evening walk. No matter where you live in Florida, you have the opportunity to live pretty close to the beach. Our first house that we bought here was $315,000, and then the second one was $450,000. So So to give you some perspective, you can live 10 minutes from the beach and purchase a house for under $500,000. That's insane. That can be unheard of. A lot of different places, some places in Florida for sure, it's unheard of, but in the Space Coast, it's possible. So it might be somewhere to consider if you're thinking about it. If you want to be close to the beach. There's tons of parks and trails around us, tons of community events, which is really great. Like we love going to Mardi Gras every year. They have 4th of July events, parades, Christmas. I love Christmas time here in general. Actually, our street, we get the golf cart parade where they decorate their golf carts and they go down. So it's really cute. There's also the boat parades all over our county. I'm sure Florida in general, anywhere that's on the coast, you have the boat parades where they decorate their boats and compete who has the best decorated boat. That is so fun. We've made great friends with some people that live on the canal, so we'll go there and watch the boats, which is really great. Our goal at one day is to have a waterfront home. I've helped a few people buy waterfront homes here in 1.2 million. Getting something in other areas of Florida for waterfront, direct waterfront for 1.2 million is unheard of. So another great thing about this area is you can get that. When I say waterfront, it's riverfront, it's not oceanfront. Oceanfront usually starts at more like 2 million. Cost of living, I feel, is a lot more affordable. I went back up to Rhode Island and I bought lobster rolls for my friends and I. We had just got there and I wanted a lobster roll really bad, and it's fresh there, and I don't think they're fresh down here. I think they get imported from there. I got 4 lobster rolls and it was like $220, and I was like, no drinks or anything. And I was like, oh yeah, we're in Rhode Island again. Whereas like a lobster roll here you can get for way cheaper. Getting a cocktail up there is like $15. You can get a $5 cocktail here. So not to just comparing restaurant prices, home prices, depending on where you're coming from, can be a lot more affordable. There's no state income tax, which is great. And then I thought that the water and the electric were a lot cheaper too. So utilities I felt were a lot more cheaper, and taxes too. So depending on where you live, like we live in an unincorporated area, which I had never heard of that ever. In Rhode Island, I'm pretty sure most of it is a city. So I was like, well, what does that mean? There's a lot of unincorporated areas in Florida, and it just means it's county jurisdiction. You're not technically a city. You have a sheriff, which I never had a sheriff ever in my life until I moved here. I had police and cops, but here we have the sheriff, and he's county jurisdiction. So some vocabulary if you're new to all of this. Something that's also really great is I love how flat it is here. Back in my early 20s, I would go on hikes. My friends would want to go on hikes, so I'd go on hikes with them. I am not a hiker. I've got short legs. And so I love how flat it is here. Even just driving, like where I grew up in Connecticut, we would just be going over hills all the time, especially in the ice. It's scary, but here there's no hills. If you see a hill, it's probably a landfill that was covered up. So there's no hills, which I love. It's just so easy to get around. The roads are way wider and they're smooth. Up in Rhode Island, it's actually, I believe, known for being the worst state for roads. It has horrible roads. It's so bumpy everywhere you go. And it's funny because they just repaved one of the roads next to us and people are like, oh, thank God it's been paved. It was so bad. I didn't even notice it was bad because I'm so used to really bad roads up in Rhode Island. So you don't run into that. Most of the roads are nice and wide, and there's better infrastructure here than what I was used to up in the north. So I love that part, especially because I have to get all around the county for work, but also it's really fun on a weekend to go and explore Florida. Like I said, you can go 2 hours and be in a totally different area, like St. Augustine. Miami is 3 hours away from where I live. Orlando's only an hour, and it's totally different. And the infrastructure is pretty great for getting around. Now, I will say, I am thinking of the infrastructure in Brevard County. It's not as bad as traffic as other areas. So if you're watching this and you're wanting to go live in Tampa, Orlando, Miami, Jacksonville, the traffic is horrible, in my opinion. I actually do not like driving to Orlando. I have to plan it out so I don't hit traffic. 9 times out of 10, I hit traffic. Luckily, the airport from our side of the East Coast is outside of Orlando, so you don't hit the traffic getting to the airport. But going to Disney, you almost always hit traffic. Something to think about is that traffic on the highways, and off the highways too. But luckily in my area, it's not bad at all. So that's why I really love, I feel like we got so lucky with this area. But yeah, thinking about bad things I don't like, it's pretty hard. It's hard to come up with things, and it's gonna be mostly things that aren't the things that everyone says. And that's hurricanes. Every time we get a hurricane, they're coming in from the West Coast, and everyone around us that's lived here for a long time, don't worry about it. Don't even have to put panels up. We have impact windows, luckily, but I get nervous every time. Especially when you move here for the first years, you're gonna get nervous. My husband doesn't, so we'll be fine. But even the last hurricane, because we had Hurricane Helene, which didn't touch us, but it did devastate a lot of areas. You know about South Carolina, and I believe it hit Tampa too. That was scary right after we had Milton, and that was coming for us, and it did. It came directly barely through our area. By the time it hit us, I believe it was Category 1 or a tropical storm. But it's scary, and you're watching the news, and there can be tornadoes, or a tornado hit Cocoa Beach and actually took up a little bit of someone's roof. That is the downside, and it's a big downside to living in Florida. People's homes that they've owned for 30 years just get completely wrecked over in Tampa on the other side. And I have faith in the history of this where I live is that it's never been hit before, but luckily we get advance notice for hurricanes, and if we know we're gonna get at a higher hurricane, I get Cat 4 and up, we're gonna evacuate, but we haven't had to before. Nonetheless, it's scary. And that's just the reality of living here, is that you have to deal with it. And I always tell all my clients get flood insurance, because you just never know. Even if you don't live near the coast, there could be a drain that clogs into the road and your home gets flooded. Regular home insurance does not cover that. And luckily our flood insurance is not that bad. It's $750 a year. And then our homeowner's insurance is $3,000, which is actually less than what ours was up in Rhode Island. I sell new construction over here all the time, and it's only $2,400 a year. Depending on where you live, we do live on the Barrier Island where we live. You could be getting less insurance, but I have people that come up from Miami and their home insurance is double, triple, and they're far away from the coast. And when you're far away from the coast from here, where like when you live where in the Space Coast, it's a lot less. For me, I feel like insurance isn't really a con where we live, like in where I live in Florida, but having it is super important in my opinion, because there's always risk. But luckily we get notice versus like wildfires in California, you don't really have that much notice, which is scary. All right, another thing, the bugs, of course. Luckily it's not buggy right now, because I probably wouldn't be out here. I've got a fan on me right now, but the no-steams are pretty gnarly here. I've got them screened in, I got no-steam netting around it, and still they get in sometimes. So yeah, me and no-steams do not get along. They love my blood. They're around all year. It's more so like after it gets a rain and just random days. I don't even know the science behind it, but sometimes they're out and sometimes they're not. And yeah, I can't stand them. But there is, I'm looking at it right now, it's on my table. Skin So Soft by Avon. If I put it on, I won't get bit. It makes you oily, it makes your hair oily. I was going in the pool right now, I put it on. Just something to think about, the no steams. And you can't see them, so it's hard. The mosquitoes are bad. Like the big mosquitoes, they're not bad. The no steams are where you're like, ugh. We have roaches. You get your house sprayed so they don't come inside your house. If they do, then they'll die because of the spray. So there's that. Snakes. Now, our first house here, I never saw snakes in our yard. The house we live at now is closer to water, and we see snakes. Apparently, I believe it's April or May is their mating season, so they're out more. I did see maybe 3 in a month, which is a lot, in my opinion. On my street, there was one by my garbage can, but they're mostly non-poisonous. I've never seen a poisonous, which is good, but if you're down in South Florida, there's way more poisonous ones. You'll run into them potentially where you live. I thought we were in the clear for the rest of the season, but my husband sent me a video of one in my yard the other day that was right next to our dogs, and my dogs didn't notice, and he didn't bother our dog. I wish my husband didn't tell me about it, but he did. The alligators aren't really, they don't really affect my day-to-day life at all. I try not to walk by like ponds or anything, like close to ponds, because if you touch water, an alligator can be in it. For the most part, like they don't like salt water, so they're not gonna be in the ocean, but like any other rivers or the ponds. Like sometimes I used to film down neighborhoods and I'd be close to water and I'll keep my eye on the water, because I just try to avoid that, because every other year you'll see one person was by the water with their dog and it came out to attack them. But for the most part, if you don't put yourself in those situations where you could be next to an alligator, then you'll be okay, I promise. They're not like coming up in your toilet or anything like that, like I've seen online before. Okay, so like summertime, right now it's summer. It's probably 90 degrees right now. Let me check the weather. Let me see what it is. It's 87 right now, but it's also 5:20 at night. I don't mind it. I've got a fan on right now. I'm gonna go jump in the pool. I just love that I can go in my pool. Luckily in this area, it has a breeze. Like I have a breeze coming in too, not just from the fan, which is really nice. The West Coast doesn't have as much of a breeze as the East Coast, so I am a big advocate of East Coast, West Coast. I am biased because I live here, but I do feel like the Atlantic has a lot more benefits. Hurricanes and breeze. Lesser hurricanes coming in from the side is what I was saying. I love the breeze here. So I know I spoke about how it's really easy to get around, which I really love, and the roads are nice and paved and wide, which I really love. Now the drivers here, different story. Now I don't know if people are just like all over the United States, because I feel like when I was up in Rhode Island last summer, no one used a blinker either. Ever since moving here, I swear no one uses a blinker. So just be aware of that. Not a lot of people use blinkers, which is frustrating. There's some crazy drivers. They just passed the super speeder law, so I do feel like that helps. I-95 can get scary. Even in this area, a lot of people going down to Miami and they're driving fast. So I avoid the left lane as much as possible on 95, and I also avoid 95 as much as possible. I take US 1 as much as I can. It's just crazy drivers out nowadays. Okay, would I do it again? Would I move here? In a heartbeat, I would do it. I would have done it sooner. I feel so lucky that I moved here when we did. I'm going into my 30s right now, and I help a lot of clients move here when they're retiring, and I think it's amazing. You might be watching this and retiring, and I'm so happy for you because it's just life-changing living down here. But as someone who also, I'm in my 30s now and I work full-time, I love it. Like I said, work is just so much easier. The people I work with are nicer. Everyone's just in a better mood because they're not dreading seasonal depression is real. It's not winter here. I would do it again in a heartbeat. Would have done it sooner if I could have. And I would have picked where I live here over and over again. I just feel like we hit the jackpot. We had no idea of this place. We didn't know anyone in Florida, anyone. And now we have such a great community. We have a family. We can't go up north to see our family for holidays. We are always hanging out with our friends here. A lot of them are in the same position where their family live in another state too, and they stay down here to stay with their pets or just for work or whatever the case may be. I almost forgot one of the coolest parts. This will be a cool part of Florida because there's many ports, but we have, where I live in the Space Coast, Cape Canaveral cruise port, and we can get out into a cruise, just a weekend cruise, 4-day cruise. We can take a 2-week cruise out to Europe. It's awesome. We love it. We keep our car at home and go over there, and then vacation starts. We don't have to take a plane. I just love it so much. And there's tons of other ports, like Fort Lauderdale and Miami is super popular too. So depending on where you end up, Tampa's only 2 hours away. So if you're in Tampa, 2-hour drive to Cape Canaveral and you're out on your vacation too, no more flights. And of course, where I live is the Rockets, which for the first few years was really cool. And now, so it's just a part of life. Like I hear them like, oh, there's a rocket. Every now and then we'll be at the beach and we'll see one go up, and it's really cool. And of course, it's just cool being a part of the history, because a couple years ago we had a 3D made one go up. We had the first Blue Origin go up, Blue Origin one go up within the past year. And SpaceX is just, at this point, just a part of the lifestyle. SpaceX satellites go up about every week in the Space Coast, so it's really cool. I would do it again in a heartbeat. Like I said, I absolutely love it. Thanks so much for watching. If you're thinking about moving to the Space Coast, make sure you reach out, because I am a real estate agent here. I've been in your shoes before, and I helped about 40 families in the past year move to the area, and they absolutely love it. I absolutely love it. And like I said, even if you're thinking about somewhere else, just reach out, because I know amazing agents all throughout Florida. Thank you so much for watching. My name is Rachel, and I'll see you on the next one.